morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening. How are you? We're going to do another Pilates session. I'm going to move backwards a little bit. My name's Sarah Tagg, and I work for the Exercise Referral Scheme in Cardigan. So we're doing gentle Pilates. Normally I like to do my warm-up standing, but I haven't quite mastered technology to be able to adjust the camera. So if you do need to warm your muscles up a little bit, maybe a little bit of a walk, just to get that heart beating a little bit faster, just get the muscles warmed up. If you're feeling okay, generally, if the atmosphere is quite warm, we can go into it, but we're going to start really gently. I am going to be using a resistance band. I've got two actually, but one will suffice. I've got one that I've looped and one straight, but if you haven't got a resistance band, don't worry, because you don't absolutely have to have it. So we're going to make a start. We're going to think about this spine. We're going to think about lengthening through the spine. There's some natural curves in the spine, but we want to see if we can just open up space between each little segment of the vertebra. Now what we're going to do is we're then going to think about the head and neck as an extension of that spine. So we're going to look straight ahead, we're going to keep that chin parallel to the floor, and we're just going to think about that lengthening process. So really see if you can sit up nice and tall, nice comfortable position, just lengthen through that spine. And then I'm going to get you to take a little squeeze of these shoulders, so there's tension there, and then I'm going to get you just to relax those shoulders. Okay, so there's tension, there's relaxation. Let's try that again. So we're going to draw the shoulders up, we're going to breathe in, and then as we release the shoulders, we're going to let that breath gently come out through the mouth. Good. So as we breathe in, we're gently breathing in through the nose, and then we're going to breathe out through the mouth. Breath out, breathe out. Good. Now as those shoulders slide down away from the ears, I want you to imagine your shoulder blades, and imagine they're just sliding down your back, all the way down, a little bit further, and you're going to see if you can tuck them into the back pocket of your trousers. Good. Okay. So that's our lovely alignment. Long spine, holding onto the natural curves. Thinking about our breathing, okay, nice and gentle, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Shoulders soft and relaxed, and the head and neck, that extension to the spine. So we've got that beautiful elegance. Now we're going to think about this trunk area here. So in Pilates, everything almost starts from the middle. So what we want to do is really control the position of this trunk. Try not to let the shoulders take over. So what we find is that this area here is our powerhouse. So we're going to imagine, okay, you've got this big thick corset on. So I've got my hands over the belly button, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to draw those lower abdominals away from my hands as hard as I can. So this is 100% of your effort, and then we're going to relax. Okay, so 100% quite hard to hold on to all the time. So let's try it at 50%. And what we can do is breathe in to prepare, and as you breathe out, just draw in again. And even 50% is quite hard to hold on to all the time. So what we're going to do next, we're going to release, and then we're going to see if we can try 30%. So we're just going to draw those lower abdominals in. Sometimes think about those hip bones drawing together. We can bring in that pelvic floor as well. So you might think about just drawing that pubic bone up towards the belly button. Now we're going to find that lovely long spine. We're going to look out onto the horizon. We're going to breathe in to prepare. And as we breathe out, we're going to tighten our belt to notch 3. So that's our 30%. And then we're going to think about just gently starting to warm up this back. So I'm going to tighten my belt, I'm going to lift my rib cage out of my hips, and I'm just gently breathing out. And I'm going to roll through that spine. I'm going to breathe in and I'm going to breathe out. And I'm going to breathe in, stacking each segment of the spine, one on top of the other, shoulders relaxed. I'm going to breathe out. And I'm going to come all the way up and I'm going to see if I can take this little pelvic tilt. So I'm going to get you to imagine you've got a little tail and it's right at the base of that spine. And what we're going to do is we're just going to gently tilt that pelvis and push that tail towards the back of your knees. So we're creating almost a C curve at the base of that spine. And then once we've got that C curve, we're going to see if we can feed ourselves down one little segment of that spine at a time, and then we're going to pull ourselves all the way up. I'm going to bring myself a little bit forward on the mat, so I'm going to take a pelvic tilt, I'm going to breathe out, and I'm going to start pressing each little segment of that spine down into the mat. I'm going to take a roll of those shoulders, I'm going to take that little pelvic tilt, and just pressing down as far as I can control it, no further than you can control it. We can always pull ourselves back up, roll those shoulders. Now this time we're going to see if we can come all the way down onto the mat, pressing each little segment of that spine. Good. Now I'm just going to make sure that you can see me okay. That's good. Now once we're here, we're going to keep those knees bent. We're just going to practice those little pelvic tilts. Now, if you take your hands onto those lower abdominals, we've got the fingers pointing towards your pubic bone and the thumbs pointing towards the belly button. Now, if you imagine a clock face and the fingers are 12 and the thumbs are 6, we're going to make these tilting movements smaller and smaller till the 12 and the 6 are on a totally even plane. Good. Now once you've done that, if you take this hand away, you'll find there's just a nice natural curve at the base of the spine. You probably can't quite get your hand underneath it, but you can just get some fingers there. Now we're going to try and hold on to that neutral spine all the way through unless I ask you to do something different. Now holding that neutral spine, we're going to walk the feet together, walk the knees together. I'm going to let these arms rest out towards the side, and I'm just going to allow my knees to gently fall one way and come back to center. And then we're going to let these knees gently fall the other way and back to center. Good. So just make sure you can see me okay there. That's good. So we're letting the knees fall one way. Now what's happening here is this belt-like muscle is controlling all the movement. So as we come back to center, the belt is contracting, we're breathing in, and then again, it's just controlling how far those knees are allowed to go. And we can just let that head turn in the opposite direction. It's a lovely, lovely, lovely little movement just to warm up that spine. Good. Okay. Now we're going to bring it back to center. We're going to walk those feet back so that they're hip width apart, and we're going to find that neutral spine again. Now I'm going to look directly up towards the ceiling, let my arms relax down by my side. I'm going to let my shoulders melt away from my ears. Now tighten that belt. Let's see if we can imagine that pelvic tilt. So we're now tilting the pelvis so that lower back presses down towards the mat. We're going to squeeze the glutes, that's the bottom muscles. We're going to squeeze the backs of the legs, and we're just going to gently peel this spine away from the mat, and then we're going to gently start to place it back down. Good. Now we'll just do a little bit at a time. You don't have to go all the way up. We're just peeling that spine away from the mat. Now on the way back down, keep that belt active, and we're just going to press each little segment of the spine down into the mat one at a time, and again. Good. That's it. So we're just peeling that spine. Now watch out for lifting here. If you feel it in your lower back, okay, we may be pushing up too far. I'm actually going to just bring my feet a little bit closer to my bottom. Sometimes the further the feet are away, the more the hamstrings have to work. Closer the heels are to the bottom, the more the glutes, the bottom muscles have to work. So we're just going to squeeze it up and all the way back down. Good. So that belt is active all the way through. Let's think about breathing. So we're breathing in to prepare. As we breathe out, we're tilting that pelvis, squeezing all the way to the top. Now here is where we're feeling it. Breathe in at the top, and we're going to come all the way back down. Good. Now we're going to see if we can just challenge you. Core muscles, thigh muscles, bottom muscles. We're going to hold that position. Now we're going to see if we can just gently float one arm as far as the chest draws and back down. Now watch what happens here. Good. Let's see if we can do the same on the other side. Good. So we're just listening to those shoulders, and we're just making these little arm floats. I'm slightly restricted here. It's not actually the end of the world because I can really focus on a little bit of movement in the shoulders, but I'm focusing on keeping those glutes squeezed. Good. Holding that position. Great. And then we're going to come all the way back down. And I'm going to pick one knee and the other knee up. I'm just going to hug those knees into the chest. Good. So we're just getting a nice little stretch for the bottom muscles. Lovely stretch of that lower back. I'm going to push this leg away from center, and I'm going to hug this knee into the same shoulder, and then I'm going to do the same on the other side. So I'm giving my hip flexors a little bit of a stretch with a straight leg, and I'm hugging this knee in. Good. Okay, everybody happy? Good stuff. Now what we're going to do next, we're going to come into tabletop. So I like to do this in a totally neutral spine. I think once we get to a certain age, we want to protect the spine as much as possible. And so lifting that chest up is pressing those bones of the spine into the mat. Not always the greatest thing for it. So we're going to do everything from a neutral spine, and the work from these abdominals is going to come from making sure we maintain that neutral spine, that natural curve. Okay, so find that neutral spine. We're going to relax the arms. We're going to breathe in. We're going to bring one knee into tabletop. Now, I'm going to balance my glass of water on that shin, and then I'm going to breathe out, and I'm going to bring my other leg into tabletop. Now, we're going to try and hold this right angle at the knee. Okay, so all I'm going to do is push this knee away from center. Now my back will want to arch when I do that, and I'm not going to let it. I'm going to really tighten my belt. I might have to tighten it all the way to that notch 5 or 50% sometimes. We're breathing out, breathing in. Good. I'm looking up towards the ceiling. I'm tightening that belt, but I'm keeping my shoulders relaxed. I'm going to do 5 on the left. I'm going to do 5 on the right. Breathing out and in. Good. Now, let's try the other side. You might sometimes find that your hips click a little bit. If you do find that, just reduce the range, okay? Just reduce the range. Don't push your hips into that clicking phase. Keep drawing that tummy button away from the waistband of the trousers, and we're breathing out and in. So when we've done 5 on each leg, we're going to see if we can do alternate. We're breathing out and in. Now if we want to make this more challenging, we can float the arms up to the ceiling, and we can actually take that movement, that double arm float. Now what happens here is the back will want to arch. So if that's too much, you can take the arms out. If you find that your back's starting to arch, just bring those knees in and wait for the end of the exercise. If you find this one too challenging, We can do single leg tabletop, okay, on its own. So you can do 10 on one leg, 10 on the other. So we'll just finish that alternate leg set. Some of you will be using the arms, some of you will just be doing legs, some of you will be doing single leg. Wonderful. Now, let's breathe out, relax, bring those knees in, and we're just going to gently, gently roll like a ball. And we're going to roll like a ball gently. Lovely. So, we've done a little bit of warm up for those core muscles. We've done some abdominal work. We've done some bridging, which is working the glutes and the hamstrings. So let's see now if we can start to do the opposing muscles. So we've strengthened here a lot. What we need to do now is work on these back muscles. Pilates is all about balance. So I'm going to roll over onto my front, and we're just going to let this head rest on the mat. Now you may need a rolled up towel, you might find a cushion. What we want to find is that, remember that head and neck as an extension of the spine. So what you don't want to find is that happening, so or that happening. So we want that nice length in the back of the neck. First thing we're going to work on is the upper back. So I'm going to swivel down the mat a bit so that you can see me a little bit better. I'm going to make a nice rectangle with my arms. I'm going to let my forehead rest on the mat. But before I do that, we're going to see if we can relax this bottom, find that length in the spine, and we're going to see if we can stop this tummy just doming into the mat and making that back arch. So we're going to imagine the mat is boiling hot, like a bed of hot coals, and it's burning your belly. We're going to draw the belly button away from the mat, but we're still going to keep this bottom relaxed, almost like jelly. All right, shouldn't do that. The screen will ricochet. So we're going to see if we can tighten the belt, relax the bottom, and then we're going to squeeze your shoulder blades together and release. So we're going to breathe out. We're going to breathe in. We're going to breathe out. We're going to breathe in. And again. Now we're going to hold it in that raised position without arching that back. We're gently going to slide the fingertips forwards. We're going to squeeze the elbows towards the heels. We're going to breathe in. We're going to breathe out. And we're going to build up to this movement again. Breathing in, breathing out. So you can feel those back muscles working. Imagine I've got your fingertips on a ball, and we're just rolling the ball forwards and backwards. If you need to stop, just stop. We're going to do one more. Breathing in and breathing out. And then just relax those shoulders. Relax those back muscles. Good. Now that was all about the upper back. What we're going to do now is look at these lower back muscles, and we are going to activate the glutes. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to just draw that tummy button away from the mat against that bed of hot coals. We're going to just take these hands comfortably down by the side, and we're just going to gently lift this chest. We can assist it with the hands. So we're just getting a little bit of extension. Okay. Now I'm going to take my hands out of it a little bit. I'm going to see if I can just use these muscles here. So I'm just drawing that tummy button in. I'm breathing out and I'm breathing in. I'm going to make it a little bit more challenging. Leave the hands there if you need them. And if we've had any back injuries, We're just going to be very careful with this move, particularly if we've had sciatica. We just want to keep the movement there without overdoing it. So we don't want to push the range. We're just working the back muscles, keeping that spine nice and flexible. Good. Now we're going to see if we can just gently reach for the outside of your ankles. And notice with this head, we're just looking down all the time. We're imagining we've got a little tennis ball between your chin and the chest. We're going to come all the way down, and then we're going to just take these hands underneath the forehead, and we're going to relax the shoulders. And we're going to breathe out. Now, more back and glute. We're going to do swimming legs. So, imagine that I've put a little plate of peas right at the base of your spine, and we're going to lengthen one leg away from that centre and down. So we're moving from the hip. Notice this knee isn't bending. You'll feel the bottom muscles working. We're working the back muscles, and we're just breathing out. So we're going to do 5 on the right. We're going to do 5 on the left. So really squeezing through that bottom muscle. Good, really excellent move. We're almost thinking about this movement lengthening. Let's change legs. Breathing out, breathing in. Don't forget that belt-like muscle. So tighten that belt. Keep drawing that tummy button away from the mat. Letting that forehead rest on the back of the hands. Good. See if you can slide those shoulder blades down the back towards the bottom. And we're not letting any of my peas roll off that plate. I forgot to tell you, my peas are frozen. So you've got to keep that trunk really stable. Now let's see if we can do alternate legs. Got a hot cup of coffee between your shoulder blades. Good, just lengthening. It's almost as if you're reaching for the wall behind you with that foot, as well as that lift. Then we're going to bring it down. We're going to bring these hands, and we're going to see, I'm just going to come back onto my mat, if we can come into our child's pose position. So we're allowing that flexion in the back after all that work and extension. We're going to draw these elbows behind the knees and just relax there. We're going to relax. Now, we're going to try swimming again, but what we're going to do is just see if we can do it in a kneeling position. Now, if your wrists or knees don't like this, we can go back to that prone swimming legs, and we can bring in the opposite arm. What we're going to do is we're going to see if we can bring the palms of the hands directly underneath the shoulders. We're going to bring your knees directly underneath the hips, and we're going to watch out for that. So we're going to draw that tummy button in. We're going to lengthen through that spine. Imagine you're a sad dog. Well, not a sad dog. Imagine you're a happy dog and that tail is sticking straight out behind you. Now I'm going to look at this invisible line, the top of my fingertips, draw that tummy button in again, and I'm just going to gently push fingers and toes away from centre. Keep looking down. Good. So we've got that length in the neck. We're drawing those shoulders away from the ears. And it's as if you're moving through wet sand, but pushing the fingers and the toes through the sand, slowly drawing them back. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. breathing in. Good. Breathing out. And in. Keep drawing that tummy button away from the mat. And then we're going to come back into child's pose. We're going to lengthen through the shoulders, the arms all the way to the fingertips. And we're going to slide those arms backwards. We're going to breathe in. We're going to breathe out. And then we're going to bring ourselves into that seated position that we started with. So, I'm going to be doing a second part to this session where we're going to do a little bit more sideward movement, a little bit more abdominal work and a little bit more stretching at the end. For now, we're just going to see if we can bring these legs in front of you. We're just going to lengthen through those legs. We're going to take our little spine stretch. We're going to breathe out. We're going to breathe in. We're going to come into that straddle position. We're going to breathe out. We're going to breathe in. We're going to breathe out. We're going to breathe in. We're going to roll the shoulders up to the ears. We're going to relax those shoulders down. And you're either done or I'll see you in the next section. Thank you.